Allah Ta'ala will finish before I leave for Hajj, before I leave slightly before Eid al-Adha. It's too loud, isn't it? It's way too loud. So, inshallah, we'll have about 4 halaqas left to do, 3 or 4 halaqas left to do after Ramadan, inshallah, which will knock out probably a week after Eid. But I do recognize that sometimes there are topics that you want to get in, and as I keep on looking through the topics, I'm like, oh, there's another topic, so it comes out to like 50, 60. So we'll see what happens, but I do plan on keeping it as a 40 collection, inshallah, and covering as much as we can within 40, just for the sake of staying true to the name. We've covered a lot of ground, though. If you go back and you look through the topics that we've covered so far, we've hit on many issues, and I would hope that everyone goes through the notes and goes through. I think we're good now. Is it good now? Yeah, it's good now. So I think if everyone goes through the notes and makes sure that they've covered the entire series, then there's really a reframing of many different issues. Now, some of the more sensitive issues, or the ones that are in popular discourse, are harder to discuss within the context of justice, because there are some things that are clear reforms from an Islamic perspective, meaning there is a clear violation, and it would be recognized even by the American Muslim in the 21st century as a violation of rights or an injustice in the 7th century, and Islam came and did away with that. And no one would dispute that Islam made a reform to a particular problem. And then there are some issues that are more complicated. Like racism is not a very complicated one, I would hope, though to some people it might be. But, that there is a problem, and Islam comes and has a very explicit tradition, anti-racist tradition, and that's what made it so popular to many of the liberation movements that have existed, starting with Edward Blyde in Africa in the 18th century and beyond, where people identify Islam as a liberating theology, right? So Islam is a justice-based theology. But what happens when there's a discussion about something where what is considered justice is so hotly disputed and debatable? All right? So what happens, for example, I'm going to use the word feminism, when a discussion of feminism takes place. What is liberation of women? So there's a clear problem. There are violations of women's rights around the world, and we would say that Islam has solutions to them. But there are certain ideologies or certain iterations, especially certain iterations, maybe to a greater extent, of feminism as it exists, that would completely negate that and would actually view what we would view as a reform as Muslims as being regressive, right? So what happens when you're dealing with new ideologies, and not just new ideologies, but ideologies that are in constant evolution, and a religion that's supposed to be timeless, right? How do you actually reconcile between those two things? And it's a very difficult discussion. So I'm going to start this class with a question. And I hope someone gets the right answer, inshallah. It'll make me feel really good about the first 34 halaqas, all right? If you could say, if someone asked you, what did Islam do for women? What's the greatest thing that Islam did for women? What would be your response? I want to hear some answers. Men can answer too. You're a man, you can answer. Make them look good. All right. How old are you? You don't mind me asking, how old are you? Okay, you can tell me. He's 7. Okay, mashallah. For everyone on the stream. All right. Acknowledge their value. Acknowledge their value in society. Can you clarify?